I heard my coworker's voice in the basement. The worst part wasn't hearing Sarah's voice calling for help from 3 floors below. The worst part was finding her upstairs 30 seconds later, insisting she'd never moved. I've been a nurse at St. Michael's Hospital for 6 years now, and I thought I'd seen everything. Night shifts in a place this old come with their share of strange sound-settling pipes, distant alarms, the occasional confused patient wandering the halls. You learn to tune it out. But what happened last Tuesday night was different. Some things you can't explain away. It was around 2:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I just checked my watch, counting down the hours until my shift ended at 7. The 3rd floor was quiet. Most of our patients were sleeping, their rhythmic breathing and the soft beep of monitors, the only sounds breaking the silence. Sarah was at the nurse's station, charting. I'd left her there maybe 2 minutes earlier to check on Mr. Patterson in room 312. That's when I heard it. Help me. Please, someone help me. It was faint, muffled, but unmistakably Sarah's voice. And it was coming from somewhere below us, way below. My first thought was that it was echoing up through the vents or something. But as I stood frozen in the hallway, I heard it again. I'm stuck down here. Please. The voice was coming from the stairwell, the one that leads down to the basement level. Now, you have to understand the basement ward at St. Michael's has been closed for almost 15 years. Budget cuts, they said, asbestos concerns. The hospital just sealed it off and built newer facilities in the East Wing. The doors are kept locked, and there's absolutely no reason for anyone to be down there, especially not at 3 in the morning. My heart was pounding as I moved toward the stairwell door. The voice came again, more desperate this time. Please, I can't get out. I grabbed the handle and pulled. The door shouldn't have opened. It's supposed to be locked after 10 p.m., but it swung wide easily, as if someone had just gone through. The stairwell was dark. The lights that work on the upper floors don't extend down there, and the emergency lighting casts everything in a sickly red glow. Sarah? I called down. My voice sounded small, swallowed by the darkness below. Nothing, just the echo of my own voice bouncing back. But I'd heard her. I knew I had. And if Sarah was trapped down there somehow, I couldn't just leave her. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and started down the stairs. The temperature dropped with each step. By the time I reached the basement level, I could see my breath. The door at the bottom was slightly ajar, which made no sense. These doors were supposed to be chained shut. I pushed it open, and the smell hit me immediately. Mildew, rot, and something else. Something sweet and wrong. Sarah? I whispered, sweeping my phone's light across the abandoned hallway. The beam caught old gurneys, overturned chairs, papers scattered across the floor. Thick dust covered everything, dust that clearly hadn't been disturbed in years. No footprints. No signs that anyone had been down here in a very long time. That's when I heard the footsteps behind me, on the stairs, coming down. I spun around, my light catching nothing but empty stairwell. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard it again, Sarah's voice, but different now, closer, right behind me, whispering in my ear. Why did you leave me down here? I ran. I don't remember much about getting back up those stairs. Just the sound of my own breathing, my shoes slapping against concrete, and that voice following me, getting louder, more insistent, echoing off the walls in a way that made it impossible to tell where it was coming from. I burst through the stairwell door onto the 3rd floor and nearly collided with Sarah. She grabbed my arms, steadying me. Whoa, hey, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I stared at her, unable to speak for a moment. She was completely calm, concerned, but not at all like someone who'd just been trapped in a basement. Her scrubs were clean. She wasn't out of breath. You? You were just down there? I managed. I heard you calling for help. Sarah's expression shifted from concern to confusion. What? No. I've been at the station the whole time. I literally just saw you walk past 5 minutes ago to check on Mr. Patterson. I haven't moved. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, checking the time. 2:51 a.m. I'd been gone 4 minutes, but it had felt so much longer. Someone was down there, I insisted. I heard your voice. It was you. Sarah walked with me back to the nurse's station, where the security monitor showed a time stone. There she was, sitting in that same chair, charting continuously. The footage showed me walking past toward Mr. Patterson's room, then several minutes of Sarah alone writing, before I came stumbling out of the stairwell. She never moved, not once. We reported it to security, who checked the basement level. The door was locked and chained, just as it should have been. The chain was rusted, the lock covered in dust. It hadn't been opened in years. But here is the thing that keeps me up at night. When security pulled up the stairwell camera footage from that night, they saw me enter the stairwell alone. They saw me walk down the stairs, and they saw me run back up 4 minutes later. But in the footage, right before I came back through the door, there's a single frame, just one, where I'm visible at the bottom of the stairs. And I'm not alone. There's someone standing behind me in that frame. Someone in old nurse's scrubs, her face pale and wrong in the emergency lighting, and she's smiling. I transferred to day shift the next week. I don't care what anyone thinks about it, because now, sometimes in the quiet moments between patients, I still hear it. That voice, my own voice, calling from somewhere below, asking why I left her down there in the dark. I learned that night that some doors are sealed for reasons that have nothing to do with renovations. And some guests never really check out. My name is Marcus, and I work the night audit shift at the Grandview Hotel, a historic building downtown that has seen better days. The pay is decent, the work is easy, and most nights, I am alone at the front desk from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. with nothing but coffee and whatever podcast I'm binge listening to. It's boring, which is exactly how I liked it. Or at least how I liked it. 3 weeks ago, management sealed off room 404 for renovations. They put up caution tape, padlocked the door, and told me not to let anyone near the 4th floor's east wing. Something about water damage and black mold. Standard stuff. The room hadn't been rented in months anyway. Guests always complained about the cold or the smell, or just a general feeling of unease. Hotel workers talk, and the rumors about 404 had been circulating for years, but I never paid attention to that kind of thing. I should have. It started last Thursday. Around 1:30 a.m., the phone at the front desk rang. Room 405 directly next door to 404. Front desk, this is Marcus. How can I help you? The voice on the other end was tired, irritated. Yeah, hi. I'm in 405, and there's someone in the room next to me making a ton of noise. Sounds like they're moving furniture or something. It's been going on for 20 minutes. I pulled up the system. Room 404 showed as out of service. Sealed, empty. Sir, I apologize for the disturbance. That room is actually unoccupied. It's under renovation. But I'll go up and check it out right away. He grumbled something about wanting a refund and hung up. I grabbed my master key and took the elevator to the 4th floor. The hallway was quiet, lit by those old amber wall sconces that make everything look like an old photograph. As I walked toward the east wing, I could feel the temperature drop. Not dramatically, but enough to notice. Room 404's door was exactly as it should be, padlocked. Caution tape across the frame, untouched. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. I knocked on 405 and apologized to the guest, assuring him the noise wouldn't continue. He seemed satisfied, if still annoyed, and I went back downstairs, chalking it up to old building acoustics or pipes. The next night, it happened again. Same time, 1:30 a.m. But this time, it was room 403 calling. Then room 406. Different guests, same complaint. Someone in 404 was making noise, moving things, walking. One guest said it sounded like someone was dragging something heavy across the floor. Each time I went up. Each time the door was sealed tight. Each time I heard nothing. On the third night, I decided to stay on the fourth floor. I brought a chair and sat at the end of the hallway where I could see 404's door. At exactly 1:30 a.m., I heard it. Footsteps. Clear, deliberate footsteps coming from inside room 404. Not muffled by carpet. These were the hard click of shoes on bare floor. Back and forth, pacing. Then the sound of something being dragged. Something heavy scraping against wood. My mouth went dry. I stood up, my legs shaking, and approached the door. The padlock was still in place, rust forming around the edges. The caution tape was undisturbed. I placed my hand on the door, and it was ice cold. Cold enough that it hurt to keep my palm there. The footsteps stopped. Then, from inside the room, I heard a voice. Muffled, but distinct. A woman's voice, speaking in a low, rhythmic pattern, like she was reciting something. I couldn't make out the words, but the cadence was wrong, too fast, too urgent, almost frantic. I pulled out my phone and called my manager. It went straight to voicemail. Of course, it did. It was 2 a.m. I stood there, frozen, listening to that voice continue its strange recitation. That's when I noticed something I hadn't seen before. At the bottom of the door, in the narrow gap between the door and the carpet, there was light. A faint, flickering yellow light, like candlelight, seeping out from inside. The voice stopped. In the silence that followed, I heard something else. A soft sound, barely audible, scratching. Something was scratching at the door from the inside, slowly, methodically, like fingernails dragging down wood. I backed away, my heart hammering in my chest. The scratching followed my movement, tracking me as I moved down the hallway. It continued even as I reached the elevator, even as the doors closed. When I got back to the lobby, I checked the security footage. The camera covering the fourth floor hallway showed me clearly sitting in the chair, standing, approaching the door, backing away. But here's what made my blood run cold. At exactly 1:30 a.m., the footage glitches. For 3 seconds, it cuts to static. When it comes back, everything looks normal. Except in those 3 seconds that I can't see, someone had slid a piece of paper under the door of room 404. Could see it clearly in the footage after the glitch white paper on dark carpet. It was there when I walked up to the door. I would have seen it. I would have noticed. But I didn't. The next morning, I told management everything. They listened with uncomfortable expressions and told me they'd look into it. That afternoon, they brought in a locksmith and maintenance crew to open 404. I wasn't there when they did it, but I heard about it from the day manager. The room was empty. Completely empty. No furniture, no renovation equipment, nothing. The floor was bare concrete, the walls stripped to the studs. The room hadn't been touched in months, maybe years. And there, in the center of the floor, were deep scratch marks in the concrete. Long gouges, like someone had been clawed their way across the floor. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. They found the paper, the one that appeared in the security footage. It had been slid under the door from the inside. On it was a single sentence, written in shaky handwriting. Tell them I'm still here. They sealed the room again. Didn't explain anything, just put up a new padlock and told me to never go up there alone. Management refuses to discuss it, but I still hear the complaints. Every night, same time. Room 404. And each night, the voice inside sounds clearer, more desperate, more angry. Last night, for the first time, someone called from room 404 itself. I didn't answer, but when I checked the system this morning, It showed that the call lasted 7 minutes. And when I listened to the voicemail it left, all I could hear was that scratching sound, and beneath it, barely audible, a woman's voice whispering the same thing over and over. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. I put in my 2 weeks' notice today. I don't care that I need this job. I don't care what my resume will look like. Because last night, after that call, I found something slipped under the door of the front office. A piece of paper with my name on it and an invitation to room 404. The security guard I greeted that night didn't exist, but the cameras caught both of us having a conversation for nearly 5 minutes. My name is David, and I've been working security at the Riverside office complex for about 4 years now. It's a massive building, 12 floors of accounting firms and tech startups. The night shift is usually dead quiet, which suits me fine. I do my rounds, check the doors, and collect my paycheck. Simple, boring, safe. Last month, I was working the Sunday night shift. Most Sundays, I'm completely alone in the building from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. I know every hallway, every shadow, every sound that building makes. Around midnight, I was sitting at the security desk when I heard the elevator ding. I looked up. The doors opened, and out stepped another security guard. He was wearing our company's uniform, the same navy blue shirt with the gold patch, same black pants, same utility belt. He was probably in his 50s, heavyset, with a thick mustache and tired eyes. He gave me a small wave. Quiet night? He asked, his voice gravelly. Yeah, pretty dead, I replied. Don't think I've seen you before. You knew? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Just filling in, covering the upper floors tonight. Figured I'd check in before I head up. Something felt off. Maybe it was the way he stood too still, too rigid. Or maybe it was just the oddness of having someone else here when I'd been told I was working solo. Which floors? I asked. 9 through 12, he said. I'll stay out of your way. He walked back to the elevator. I watched him press the button, watched him step inside. Just before the doors closed, he looked directly at me. That smile again. Empty. Wrong. Then I did what I should have done immediately. I pulled up the schedule. My name was the only one listed for Sunday night. I grabbed my radio. Base to all units. This is David at Riverside. Is anyone else on duty tonight? Static. Then dispatch. Negative, David. You're solo tonight. Why? I just saw another guard. He said he was covering floors 9 through 12. A pause. David, there's no one else there. Check your cameras. I pulled up the footage, rewinding to midnight. There I was at the desk. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. And the elevator was empty. On camera, I was having a full conversation with nobody. I watched myself nod, gesture, speak to empty air for 5 minutes. Then I watched nothing walk back to the elevator. But I remembered everything. His face, his uniform, his voice. It had been real. My hands shaking, I grabbed my flashlight and headed for the stairwell. I had to check the upper floors. The 9th floor was dark. I pushed through the door, my flashlight cutting through the blackness. Then I heard footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps coming from deeper in the floor. Security, identify yourself. The footsteps stopped. In the silence, I heard a radio crackle to life. Not mine, another radio, somewhere in the darkness. And then I heard my own voice playing back. Base to all units, this is David at Riverside. The footsteps started again, faster now, closer. That's when I saw him at the far end of the hallway. The same uniform, the same smile. But this time I could see something was wrong. His movements were jerky, unnatural, and his eyes weren't reflecting my flashlight. They were just dark, empty holes. He raised his hand in that same small wave. I ran. I don't remember getting down those stairs. Just the sound of footsteps echoing above me, keeping pace, never getting closer, but never falling behind. I burst through the lobby and ran straight to my car. They sent someone to check the building, found nothing. All doors locked, all cameras showed empty floors, but they couldn't explain the wet boot prints on the 9th floor. Heavy treads, going from the stairwell to exactly where I'd seen him standing, then back to the elevator. They tested the moisture. It wasn't water. They wouldn't tell me what it was, but the maintenance guy who cleaned it up wouldn't look me in the eye afterward. I quit the next day. 2 weeks later, my old supervisor called. "Did you hear about Marcus, the guard who took over your shift?" "No. What happened?" "He quit after one night. Said he ran into another guard on the upper floors. Had a conversation with him. But Marcus was working alone." My blood ran cold. "Did he describe the guard?" "Yeah. Heavyset guy. Mustache, navy uniform. Said he was covering floors 9 through 12. I hung up and looked up the building's history. I found an article from 1987. A security guard named William Hodges had died in the building heart attack during his rounds on the 9th floor. There was a photo in his obituary. It was him. The same face, the same mustache, the same smile. He'd worked the Sunday night shift for 15 years, floors 9 through 12. I guess some people never really clock out.